Welcome to Girls Who Talk Goals. I'm Kristy.
I'm Natalie.
And I'm Emilie.
We are creating an empowering community where we inspire each other to step out of our comfort zones.
And fill each other's cups one conversation at a time.
We're all just trying to figure out life, so let's go on this journey together.
Now let's jump into today's episode.
Welcome back to today's episode. Hope you guys are having a fantastic Monday or whenever you're listening. Today's episode, we're talking about girls who invest. And today's mantra is investing in your future. We're going to take a deep dive into our investments, specifically about real estate investments, because that's the most prevalent in all of our lives right now. Natalie, you just closed on your first investment property this past week.
Woo!
How did that come about?
So it's been in the process for about a year. My neighbor was wanting to move back to Texas, and so I kind of put the bug in her ear that I was interested in it. Somehow magically worked out perfectly to where I purchased hers, and yeah, now I'm a landlord, or soon to be landlord, I guess, in 2 weeks when my renters move in. So it's
that's
exciting.
Awesome.
I know.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Okay, so what does your numbers look like behind the scenes? What are you renting it out for? Would you acquire the property at? Are you paying for any utilities?
So I purchased it at 113, which was maybe slightly under market value just because I didn't have any representation or anything. So there was no commission, or it wasn't on the market technically. It was just a direct deal. So saved a little bit maybe with that. I don't remember what the appraisal came in at. I didn't ask. I would assume it was probably worth 115 to 125 area, but I'm not sure. And then I put money down. I got a commercial loan. I thought about doing FHA and moving into that property and renting out mine currently. But then I found I was kind of doing the numbers and it made more sense to do a commercial loan. So I have, I think, a 5-year term amortization period of 20 years, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I'll look at my papers. And so my payment is high 7s with an 8% interest rate.
Wow.
And then, yeah, no. And then I'm taking care of trash and lawn. And of course, with mortgage plus taxes and insurance, I'll probably be all in maybe just over 1,000, maybe 1,100.
Yeah.
And I'm renting it out for 1,500 a month. And so I'll have a couple hundred of cash flow that'll go directly into reserves for when something ultimately happens.
Yep, because you know it's going to happen.
Yeah,
Always
exactly.
does.
That's kind of where I'm at. As long as it pays for itself,
Yeah.
it's going to go into a separate account. I started up a new checking account. That way all rental income will go in there. I'll have auto pay. And so it's going to pay for itself.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on, because I keep going back and forth on this too, like, do you want to try to pay off that house any faster than what you have it for? Because I recently got a client and he like wants to do everything on 5 to 10 year terms so that he can pay off his debt faster. Are you okay with having that, or like is there any strategy behind what you're doing?
I don't know. See, I listen to everybody. I love Dave Ramsey. And he's all very like, I wouldn't be buying a rental property if I totally believed in his stuff, because I don't have my house paid off yet. But then my dad, he's very much, using leverage to your ability.
Advantage.
Yeah, exactly. Advantage. And so I go back and forth on it. And I was talking to him because I'm like, okay, I'll make a decent amount of money over the next couple of years. I could pay it off. But then I'm like, if you invest that into another property or stocks or whatever, when you get a better return on that, then why wouldn't you just keep leveraging
Your debt.
your debts?
Right.
Yeah. And of course, I mean, it can get scary. Some people over leverage to where,
Like Dave Ramsey.
and he went bankrupt. Yeah, exactly. Right. So you kind of have to be careful, but I'm more so just using it to my advantage.
I go back and forth because we bought our first property. Well, first off, Andrew and I bought it, and we had not been I'm 1099 employee, and then he just opened up his own business. So we couldn't get a loan at that time, but like we were ready to buy something. So we had saved up a fair amount of cash. So we bought our first one in cash. We got it like $5,000 under asking because we said I'll waive my inspections.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
take the risk. And
Yeah.
I'm willing to like bat with that. I've been in enough houses that like I have a good idea of everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, we bought that one for like $60,000.
That's
and
all
then,
you paid cash.
Yeah.
That's insane.
How old were you?
20.
How did you have that much
4?
money? Like just cash? Did you have your own house then?
Yeah.
So what? I'm just.
We actually
How did you
had
do that?
bought our house July, and then we bought this house in February. Right. Like, so 7 or 8 months after. Yeah. I literally
my God.
like, I just wanted one and I was like, this is perfect. I love where it's at. Honestly, I feel like it was a little underpriced too. I know today I could probably put it on the market and sell it for like high 7s. And I've put maybe like $5,000 into it. And we still have a few things we're working on. But we rent it out for $1,000 too, which is really good because it'll essentially have itself paid off in 5 to 6 years as long as the tenant stays in there.
Right.
And then it'll just be making $1,000 a month, you know?
Yeah.
Like your idea of your loan that you would have
Right.
is gone, but it was all cash anyways. So, but on the flip side of that, I like completely annihilated our savings when we did that because then we had to put money into it too, just to, you know, get it to where you need to be. And you underestimate like the amount of work something really needs. Like you just think paint, flooring, oh, it'll be fine.
No big deal, just cosmetic.
Yeah, I'll only spend a couple grand, and then you end up spending more money than that.
Yeah.
A lot more time.
Mm-hmm. And that was the other hard thing is I was like, oh, I'll have this thing rented out in like a month. Absolutely no problem. Yeah, it was like, so we closed on that mid-February. I didn't have it rented out until June 1st. And then,
Wow.
yeah, my first tenant, let's just say we didn't align with each other, and that didn't work out, and that was okay because then we had an issue, like the basement was getting a little bit of water in it, and we had to come, well, we're still working on fixing that issue, but we have great tenants who understand. They actually work for ServPro. They came to like clean a little mold in a corner, and they were like, we want to rent this out.
Perfect.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and it was like everything lined up. So they've been in there since December now for this year. The other tenant had moved out like a month or so before that. Got them in there. Literally the best people. Have a really nice relationship with them too. They're like, when we're ready to buy a house too, like, you're a girl. And I'm like, I love that.
Perfect.
Yeah, so that one was kind of a roller coaster. If I could go back, I'd probably still buy it, but I don't know if I would probably try to like find a workaround on getting a loan on it somehow rather than annihilating our savings account.
I remember asking you because we were friends at the time. I think that was when we first started getting lunch together, and you were like, yeah, you know, I just bought this property. And at the time I was like, do you regret buying it in cash? Because there's so many different ways to go about buying an investment property or obtaining an investment property. And obviously cash is great because you don't have a loan, you don't have a payment on it technically, but that's all your cash.
You could have like 4 or 5 properties.
Yes, exactly.
Right. You can diversify that into however many down payments on however many properties.
Yeah.
Which is the thing, you know, you were talking about how you talked to, you know, a few different people and got their opinions, like your dad who says this. And
residential versus commercial loans too.
Right.
Difference in down payments.
Yes.
Just so many things and options.
Right. Like, looking back right now where I'm at, I don't regret it because I'm like, yeah, I got that house paid off. But in hindsight, it was pretty tough because we just bought our second one and we got a loan on that one. Did 20% down as a commercial loan. We bought it for like $72,500. We need to put about 10 grand into it, but we can afford to do that because we didn't have to put.
Yeah.
I didn't pay for it in cash this time, so it was easier. But our like loan is $58,000 that we have left, and I have this client who I was telling you who just like wants to pay all of his off, and he's like motivating me. He was like, if you think about it, it's really not that hard. You just have to like be consistent about putting your money at it. So I feel like I'm going back to the idea of like, think about if you had all those assets just paid off.
The thing that is so difficult about this, though, is there's no right answer, and there's so many ways to go about it.
Because everybody's investment journey is different.
Exactly.
A lot of young people don't even understand that, like, you can buy a house, live in it for 2 years, fix it up, and then sell it, not pay any capital gains, use that money, go to the next one, repeat the cycle.
Or not sell it. You can just move out because you can have a residential loan or FHA or whatever, live in it for, 1 to 2 years, and then you can buy another property under also a residential loan. Because they don't have to move. You can rent out the first property,
right,
and not have to change it to a commercial loan,
right,
or buy a duplex or a quad unit or something, live in one of it, get an FHA loan.
Yeah, the only downside to that is if you sell it, you're gonna have to pay capital gains if you've rented it out. But
that's true.
To each their own. It goes both ways. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, hopefully you keep it.
Right. Yeah, that's what we did. So I bought a house with my boyfriend at the time a couple years ago. I think it was actually 2 years ago now. We bought a house for $80,000. We did 10% down, so our loan is about $70,000. And then we moved out about a year afterwards, and we started renting it out because we were like, oh, we can cash flow. And then we were just renting at the time, so our payments were very, very small outside of our mortgage payment. But our mortgage payment wasn't very high. I think it was in like the 700s. But then we were renting it out for $1,350 a month, and I think that included trash and internet. So looking back, we got a really good deal on the house, and we did do a lot of updates whenever we bought it. So we ripped up the carpet and we refinished the floors and painted. And like you said earlier, it takes so much longer than you actually anticipate, and then it's so much more money. We did do a lot more, like we gutted the bathroom and took a wall out, so that kind of added to it. But
just a little.
Yeah, it added just a few months. We put a lot into the house, and so now we've got about $60,000 in equity.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah, which is huge,
especially at 24 years old.
Exactly. But yeah, our tenants have been great. They were just some travel nurses, and so they were amazing. And so I had a really great experience with our first investment property, and I think a lot of people don't think about that avenue, about buying your house or buying your first house, living in it for a year or two, and then moving out and renting it out, and then you still have the residential loan, which isn't as high as a commercial. And then you have that property, you buy another one, and you
keep rolling,
keep it going. Yeah.
On the flip side of that, though, too, I've also know some people who have had a really bad experience with their first one. Like how I was saying, my first tenant, and we just didn't align, and then people give up so easy. But like, that is what real estate and investing and, anything like that is, that you're going to make money off of.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of curveballs, and like figuring out how to navigate them and overcome the challenges are so important.
I agree.
Bad tenants.
Yeah.
That will ruin a lot of people's investment journeys. So like having a good process for that too, and just, meeting the people.
That's the number one thing that I hear when people are like, oh, you want to buy investment properties, you want to be a landlord, but like, what about the tenants and what about the bad ones? And I'm like, yeah, but not everyone's going to be bad. You're going to have, for every 5 good ones, you have 1 bad one. Okay, then I like those odds.
Me too. And it's worth the risk to me at that point.
It is. The financial freedom that investment properties can lead you to, I think that's worth dealing with.
I
A bad tenant here and there.
Agreed.
I agree. I also think it's super important. People say, like, oh, they don't want to get into rental property. It's a lot of work. What if it doesn't work out? You can make a better rate of return on stocks or something. I think investing in what you know or have knowledge on is really key.
But I agree with you. And some people are just so good at like stocks, or they're so good at, just
day trading or whatever people do.
Yes, exactly.
I would have no idea how to do that.
No idea. But real estate, yeah, I've got a good grip on it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
so
easier
do what
to
you know.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Wait, hold on. What's the High School Musical? Stick to the status quo. That's all I can think of right now.
So, Kristy, what is your 5-year goal or plan with your investment properties? Because I know you set some pretty high goals.
I do. I have like reduced it a little bit, but I say that and I'm probably going to jump it back up after I say this too. But I did want to have 30 properties before I'm 30. Now lately I'm like, that might be a little unattainable, Kristy. And now I'm thinking 20 properties before I'm 30. But I think I want to be just somewhere between 20 and 30. I've got 5 years to get that done. I have my second one right now. It's the beginning of 2024. 4, which is crazy. But I'd like to get 1 to 2 more this year, and then like almost double the number, next year too.
Yeah.
And just like keep trying to go after it, because I think next year too, like if I get a few more this year, then the profit that I'm getting from those ones, I'm not touching any of that money.
Yes.
I'm letting it stack so that I can buy another one with it, and I'm just going to keep doing that. And then one day, hopefully it'll be paying for all the things.
Are you only interested in single family homes, or do you want to eventually get into like multi-unit?
I would love that in the right area. I'd love to find one in a good school district. There's a few that I have my eyes on that I'm just waiting. And like Andrew met this guy the other day who has some. And I was like, listen, Andrew, you need to slide in there and say, if you're ever considering, let us know.
It's all who you know.
Yes,
you can get great deals. And you'll be able to get 20 to 30 way easier if you're looking at doors.
Exactly.
But I do feel like with homes, at least, like if I can buy a $60,000 house and rent it out for $1,000 to $1,200, I'm going to do that all day long, because I still feel like the rent on a house is going to be better than it is on an apartment or a duplex. But
I agree.
I know I have some clients who disagree with that, and that's okay.
Yeah, it just depends.
Right.
I like how you said that you're not making any money on it, because that is such a big misconception.
Right.
Because so many people, and they don't know much about it, which is totally fair, because if you don't know, then you don't know what you don't know. But a lot of people think, oh, an investment rental property, I'm going to make so much money, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you don't realize I am not making money off of this. It's paying for itself, and that's the goal. Like, I will net cash flow a certain amount, which is different for every investor, or a certain cap rate. Your goal is to have a good deal.
I think that's a huge problem in society right now, or just, it always has been. People want to get rich quick, but with investments, whether it's the stocks, I guess some stocks you can.
Yeah.
But just investments in general, that's what they are. They're investments. They're not get rich quick schemes. It's the long game. You have to be in it for the long game, and then know that your future is going to be much better if you're doing these things now. And yeah, just not expecting to make a ton of money right now.
Right. Yeah. But realizing that at 24, 25 years old, like, excites me. Because I'm like, where am I going to be by the time I'm 40? Because that is still young, and we're going to be crushing
and they'll be paid off.
Yeah,
retired.
Exactly.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
Retired by 40.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Goals.
Yes.
So do you guys have any other investments besides real estate?
I do, actually. I was influenced when I was 17 years old by my dad and by my boyfriend at the time. They were very big into invest now, because your future retired self will thank you. And I remember taking economics in high school too, and they talked about 401ks and Roth IRAs and all that. And to me, I was like, well, why would you not start it now, to where even if you start it with a small amount at 18, by the time you take it out when you're, 60, it could be well over $1 million. So to me, it was a no-brainer. And so I remember when I was 17, one summer I worked like 3 jobs, and I saved up like $2,000, and so that when I turned 18, I could open my Roth IRA. And so I did that. And so I'm about to turn 25 this summer, and every 7 years, your money's going to double. And so I'm so excited to watch that happen this summer.
I love that.
Yeah.
You don't hear many 17-years-olds say, I worked 3 jobs. I saved up this amount of money so I could start my Roth.
Money that you can't touch.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. I wish I
so
started. I wish I started sooner. So
I had good influences at the time. Thank God. I'm very thankful for that. But I never think about that as money that I have. I never check it. I never even think about it, because you can't.
Right.
Because it is an investment, and especially because you can't take that out until it's time.
Definitely invest as soon as you can. Talk to somebody maybe on the differences between Roth and traditional, because Roth, you're paying your taxes in when you invest it. There's a certain income limit. I don't know what it is. You want to do that first, because if you're at a higher tax bracket later on, you pay taxes at a lower tax bracket essentially. And so there's all these little tips and tricks that you learn along the way, and definitely get a financial advisor and all these things. But starting as young as you can is so critical.
Especially because time is on your side.
Yes.
at that age, and you need time with investments, no matter if it's a Roth IRA, traditional mutual fund, or just investment properties. The younger you can do it, the better off you're going to be later on in life.
Yes, and the quicker you can like start growing your knowledge on all of that and like talking to people. I mean, financial advisors would love to talk to like younger kids about that too. I could even use more conversations about it, honestly.
Me too.
There's so much.
Yeah, there's
to
a
unpack
lot.
with it.
I feel like we know a decent amount, but yet there's a mountain of stuff we don't know.
Right.
Of course.
Like,
I
it's
read
crazy.
a book when I was 17, when I was thinking about investing. And so Robert Kiyosaki, he wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, everybody knows that book.
Classic.
But his wife, she wrote a book, and it's all about women in investing, and basically like breaking it down for us, because you know, not that it has to be broken down for women, but it just kind of breaks it down into simpler terms. And so I read that when I was 17, and it's an amazing book to read, to kind of just, if you're just stepping into it and you don't know a whole lot.
I need to read that. I didn't even know that, because I read a couple of his, like the Cash Flow Quadrant, and then Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then he's got a few others, but
Right.
I need to add that to the list. So to recap, you're never too young or too old to start learning about investments and figuring out what's going to work best for you, and start setting your goals high, you know?
Your future self will thank you.
Yes. Yeah. So hopefully you learned a little bit just about investing or thinking about investing, which is very important, as we just said.
Maybe just to spark an interest and to plant a seed. So hopefully after listening to today's episode, your mind is on the right track with investments, knowing that there are so many different ways to do it, and so many opportunities out there. And if you ever have any questions about investments, you can message our page, because we're all going through our investment journeys, and
We can go through them together.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what we don't know. We're still learning ourselves.
Yep. We are learning as we go, with both feet in, sink or swim. And we're swimming, baby.
That's right.
So have a great day, and we will see you next episode.
Bye.
Bye.